Chapter 3. Introduction. Whenever schools start, speeches by various leaders are inevitable. When we arrived in Konoha, naturally third Hokage who came to the scene took the stage in person. Where the leaves are flying, the fire is endless. As the will of fire passed down from generation to generation in Konoha, third Hokage has always believed in and implemented it, and passed it on, except of course to the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Shin himself is quite sympathetic to the will of fire. It is not difficult to accept it, but when it comes to its specific implementation, there is a big question mark. If the Uchiha clan is inevitably destined to be exterminated in the end, then this sentence is bullshit. If the fate of the Uchiha clan could be changed, then Uchiha Shin wouldn't mind protecting this peaceful Konoha. But if Konoha can't even tolerate Uchiha, then why would he care about them? However, Uchiha Obito next to Uchiha Shin seemed more excited. Obito, who has aimed to become Hokage since he was a child, directly regarded this sentence as his ninja way and vowed to implement his ninja way. Uchiha Shin watched coldly, not saying what was in his heart. I hope you can still remember these words when you become villain in the future. After the meeting, it's time to separate classes. Fortunately, Uchiha Shin and Uchiha Obito were placed in the same class and were not separated from this big brother. When they arrived at the classroom led by a completely unimpressed Chunin teacher, Uchiha Shin found many familiar faces. The first person to bear the brunt was of course Obito's good gay friend Kakashi Hatake. He had a white-haired broom hairstyle and a mask that covered his face below the nose. He exuded the aura of keeping strangers away from him. Next is Obito's good friend Noara Rin. She has short brown hair and 2 streaks of purple paint on her face. She is not particularly beautiful, but she is still pretty. After all, this is just a 6-year-old kid. And Shin is not a lolicon. At least Obito looked straight at the little girl when he first saw her. By the way, people in the Naruto world are too precocious. On Earth, kids only know ABC at the age of 6. While here they are already showing signs of puppy love. Parents must be called for this. Then there is Kakashi's good friend Might Guy, the watermelon-headed rare beast at this time. Sarutobi Asuma, the second generation of the village, is young and mature at best, but a little anxious at worst. At this time, he is still looking towards Kurina Yuhi, a short-legged little Lolita, Gunma Shiranui holding a grass tail in his mouth, Ibiki Marino with a touching hairline, Ebisu, whose sunglasses are her real body, Hey Gecko, whose eye bags are heavier than those of sick person, and his future lover, the face of Yuzuki Yugao, who did not wait for him. As for the others, Uchiha Shin has no memory, and they have probably disappeared in the long river of time. Ahem, okay, everyone please be quiet. My name is Nohio, and I am a Chunin. In the next 4 years, I will teach you how to become an excellent ninja. Yes, due to troubled times, the course length for Genin has been shortened by 2 years. After arranging everyone in the class to take their seats in the lecture theater, Nohio stood on the podium, coughed slightly to attract everyone's attention, and introduced himself. There was a burst of sparse applause from under the podium. It was obvious that this Chunin teacher, who was most likely a sidekick, failed to calm these little bastards. Ahem, next let me ask everyone to introduce themselves so that we can get to know each other. Nohio, who looked slightly embarrassed, coughed again, and announced the next process. Me. As soon as he finished speaking, Uchiha Obito, who was sitting next to Uchiha Shin, raised his hand high and shouted repeatedly to attract Nohio's attention. Okay, let this classmate come first. Someone responded to him, which made the frustrated Nohio very happy, and he readily agreed to Obito's request. After receiving the permission, Obito raised his eyebrows proudly at Uchiha Shin and walked to the podium in a majestic manner, but his eyes looked at Noara Rin from time to time. However, when he got to the podium, he became a little nervous again. But when he saw Uchiha Shin and Noara Rin looking at him, Obito rubbed his nose a little shyly, took a deep breath, and spoke. My name is Uchiha Obito, and I want to become the first Hokage of the Uchiha clan. Obito, who wanted to be a good example of a big brother to Uchiha Shin and leave a good impression on Noara Rin, said firmly, Shush. 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 However, he was met with boos. Although the teenagers are still relatively innocent and do not have any malicious intentions, Uchiha Obito, who talks about his dream of becoming a Hokage, may still look a bit younger. Okay, thank you, Uchiha Obito, you can go down. The corner of Nohyo's mouth couldn't help but twitch, but in order to prevent the other children from being left in the cold, he still said with a smile. As a mature Chunin, Nohyo may not have much talent, but he can also see the village's alienation from the Uchiha clan. If the Uchiha clan wants to create a Hokage, it may be harder than reaching the sky. Uchiha Obito didn't care about the boos from his classmates and raised his eyebrows at Uchiha Shin very proudly. He glanced at Noara Rin, who looked at him in surprise, and then returned to sit next to Uchiha Shin. How about it? Are not I handsome? As soon as he sat down, Obito leaned into Uchiha Shin's ear and asked, "Yeah, so handsome." Uchiha Shin was not surprised at all that Obito could do such a thing, and even thought it would be strange not to do so. However, I still felt that Obito had lowered the IQ level and temperament of the entire Uchiha clan, which makes him feel a bit resentful. Obito didn't hear the disgust in Uchiha Shin's words at all, and couldn't help but feel even more proud when he heard the words. With Uchiha Obito taking the lead, the children's enthusiasm was also mobilized, and they rushed to the stage to introduce themselves. Uchiha Shin focused on listening to those acquaintances and didn't pay much attention to the others. After all, there were only a few that caught his eye. With Uchiha Obito's heroic words as a foundation, the children became more courageous and expressed their dreams one after another. However, most of them have become Jounin, Chunin, etc. They don't dare to have the extravagant hope of becoming Hokage like Obito. Konoha has been established for so many years, and now there are only 3 Hokage. You think the Hokage is just a cabbage? What's more interesting is Kakashi's dream to become a ninja like my father. At this time, Konoha White fan Hatake Tsukumo was still at the height of his power, with a huge reputation, and was Kakashi's idol. However, White Fang's death a year later became a turning point that changed his life. After hearing Kakashi's dream, Uchiha Shin couldn't help but think that if Kakashi really became a ninja, like White Fang as he said, there would probably be no 6th Hokage. Finally, it was Uchiha Shin's turn to take the stage and introduce himself.